Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Don't Worry Wednesday.
That's right, it is. Think straight. Get your act together.
I know, isn't that crazy? You know, it's funny. I asked Princess and Ryan if they were ready, and then I wasn't. And
That's
but
right.
we're live anyway, so I guess I'll
hmm
figure this out as we go. Welcome, everyone. This is my favorite time of the week, and I don't know about Ryan's. He's got to
It
he's got
is.
to deal with me on Wednesdays.
I love dealing with you.
Ah, Man,
You're
you
my favorite deal to deal with.
honestly, I think that's a another step towards sainthood for you. That you get to deal with me on not only Wednesdays but Tuesdays.
I see what you're saying, and you are so right. Because, like, without you, without having to deal with you, my saintlyhood would definitely be like not even nearly as good because you're such a good influence
No, 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 because
on
you
my
have to
soul
suffer.
and on
See,
my nope. I knew that's where you're trying to take it, but you're wrong. So it's because you're a great influence, man.
well, I'm not so sure. We're gonna work on that. But anyway, this is the show where we handle any problems or issues or challenges you guys might be having. You guys are the star of the show. You can feel free if you're having something you're going through, you can put it in the chat. You can also send us an email, dww@bss.studio. You can post it on our website. Princess has the link there in the chat for you. And yeah, we would be happy to talk about it. We're not professional counselors or therapists or baseball players, but we would be.
Very specifically that, yes.
That's right. And I don't know why that came just off the top of my head.
I like it. I
It's
like it.
weird, like because I don't even really like baseball.
Hey, that's okay.
It's funny. I don't
You don't have
really.
to.
I didn't really like baseball. I don't really like watching it like on TV. But when my son plays baseball, I love watching it.
Mm.
I think it's because I love watching him,
Yeah, that's probably it.
right? Him and his buddies, and it's a lot of fun. What was
hmm
really funny one time in a baseball game, they was playing. So my son's up to bat, right?
hmm
And the pitcher for the other team was a kid that they were in the same martial arts class.
Oh, nice.
So they fight each other, right? On
hmm
like on a daily basis, and this this pitcher hit my son with the ball when
Ah.
he was up to bat. Just poof. And it was an accident. He didn't mean to, you know,
Oh, okay.
but it was, I mean, 10-year-olds.
hmm So
They're
instead of
sometimes
throwing it,
sometimes their pitches go a little wild.
yeah, so he threw it right at him instead of at the guy behind him.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
supposed to catch the ball.
Yep. And it hit him, and and so he's like, "Uh-oh." Like, I'm gonna have to
Uh-oh.
fight him tomorrow.
Now I'm gonna have to give up butt cake with his anger.
Yep. Yep. So anyway, but that was kind of fun.
That's great. That's funny.
Um, but
Mialito,
yeah.
you asked if I shaved, and the answer is no. I'm wearing a bald cap on my chin.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah, no,
Man,
yeah, I shaved. I shaved.
you look
I figured it
good.
was about time.
You look good. You don't
Mm,
look nearly
I
as
like
young as
young.
normal. But a lot of times when I've seen you shaved, you look younger. I wonder if you're getting older.
Nah, I look pretty young.
Oh, yep. And Joe
And I
usually
still
wears a
got a little
hat.
bit of gruff here. Gruff, is that the word? Whatever.
Gruff, scruff. Yeah, that
Scruff,
thing.
scruffy,
Gruffy,
scruffy.
gruffy,
Yeah,
scruff,
if you
gruff.
touch it, it feels like sandpaper. That stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's the best. And then you go up to someone you love and you rub it on them.
And you just rub your chin right into them, and they
Yep.
love it so much.
It's
They
like, well,
complain, but
you're
those are complaints of joy.
you're sanding my shoulder.
Yeah. Pretty sure you just took a chunk out of my arm. Ow.
That was a love chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't even have the right sheet up in front of me.
Hmm.
Man, Princess, what's wrong with me?
Do you have the chat popped out?
I do. I do have the chat popped out. That I did. I did do that one after we went live.
You just
Hmm.
got a little excited is all.
I did. I was like, we're going to do it, man. We're going to do this thing. It's going to be
You wanted
cool.
to jump into the show. It feels good.
Yeah, it does. It's awesome.
Feels good to be here.
So yeah.
Speaking of jumping in, go
Yeah.
for it, Joe.
Well, I still don't have the sheet open. I just opened the
Oh,
wrong
really?
one. I clicked on a sheet, and what I opened up was all the backlog of songs that we have for the next album. So that was the wrong
Ah.
one. And apparently I did something to make the font really small on this sheet. So now it's interesting trying to read it.
Are you sure it isn't just your Zoom settings?
Could be.
Like zoomed in settings? Because
But isn't that control scroll?
it's
Don't you?
normal. I use the dot dot dots.
The dot dot dots?
Yeah, at the top of the
Ellipses?
screen. It's vertical. It's not
Oh,
horizontal.
that's not an ellipses. Yeah. Wow. No, that's not an ellipses.
Up here in the corner?
Uh-huh.
In the settings?
Uh-huh.
In the zoom? Wait,
Uh-huh.
doesn't say zoom. Oh well.
With the little
Medium.
plusy button and the little minusy
Too
button.
large. Let's try that.
Plusy and minusy. I like your
Didn't
terms.
change anything.
But
That's
thank you.
interesting. Weird. Oh well, we're gonna make do. It's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
We got
yeah, but like I said, we're not professionals. We're not professional psychiatrists or psychologists.
But like I said, we're not professionals, clearly. I like it.
Yep. But we would like to be your friend, and we'd we'd like it if you
I
were
mean-
ours.
Yeah, and please don't hurt us.
Yes. So thank you. Joe says, you used to look younger. I wonder if you're getting older. Yes, Joe. That's how life works.
No, I usually get younger.
Ah. Hey,
Like when
see
you
ya.
shave?
When I shave, I get younger, and when I put a hat on, I get even younger. So there you guys go. I am. Hi, I'm 16.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Are we gonna have an issue?
No, you have problems with 16-year-olds?
No, but like if I'm gonna do a show with you, well, 16 would be fine.
16 is good enough, man.
Yeah. What's the rule on YouTube? What's the thing like?
The rule is you can get married when you're 16, but you have to have your parents' consent. That's not on YouTube. That's actually our government.
Oh, okay.
13 and older.
13 and older on YouTube. That's the thing.
Oh,
Yes.
that's what you were
Okay.
referring to.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that
So
one.
they're talking about marriage. for
Because
some
we're on
reason.
YouTube. I'm not planning on marrying you, Ryan.
You're already married. Why would I want?
I
no
know.
thanks.
It's like whatever.
No thanks. But I see you got a cute little detective.
I do.
Flush next to you. And
But he's
Maybe it
my
was
friend.
the dollhouse.
yeah. So right now, that's my brother's children's dollhouse, and it happens to be behind me for this production. So there we go. I was thinking about throwing some of my plushies in there, but then I decided I don't want to waste the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I never had because we got all boys. So we
Oh.
never got the dollhouses.
Ah, bummer.
Yeah. Oh well. But where is this going? We're wondering the same thing, Baka. So we're gonna start the show.
Thank you.
We got a list of topics here, and I'm gonna go through the names. And if you hear your name, feel free to let us know you're here, and we'll be happy to do your topic. So we've got Sevlev, SK, Awkward, Pika, Jesse, Khan Vulcan, Amira, Random, Ian Lamb, Helmarock Hero, Pear, Anonymous, and Baka. And
By the way, if you are the anonymous person, you don't have to say that you're here.
yep, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Whoever you made contact with, you can.
But you're allowed to, even if you never even submitted a topic, you're allowed to say you're here.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You
can
are.
do that, or you can pull one of these that I haven't done in a long time.
Shout out to all our lurkers.
Boom. Princess has the cat
Box.
box. Yes. So
Lurk.
right on. All right. Well, Baka, we see that you're here, and we'd be happy to do yours. We'll start there, and we'll go on from that. So anyway, Let's
Sounds
see.
good.
There's the link. Princess has the link in the chat. I'm gonna check it for you. Yep, it's legit.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
We always need to make sure that every link is legit.
I got.
Everyone,
I'm the link legitter.
you can never trust them. Those links will get you.
They will. They
Mm-hmm.
will. Sometimes, well, actually, it wouldn't do much good because we're both mods. So sometimes, maybe other people can't click them. Is that the thing? Or no, they can't post links, right?
That's
Only
right.
mods can
That's
post
right.
links. That's it. I'm sorry. My brain's all over the place today. You're just going to have to forgive me.
It's
It's a
alright.
good thing Ryan's the star of the show. And Princess
I don't
is
know about
keeping
that.
us on track. So
Speaking of which, shall I read it?
you shall. That would be wonderful.
What's the title?
It is called Pain and Anger by Baka. I have had migraines for years now, ranging from minor annoyances to full pain vision blur. I have come to live with these inconveniences, but lately my migraines have been getting more frequent. They haven't been horrible by any means. Yet these migraines, I have fits of anger, just more annoyance of little things. Both the pain and of the migraines and my disliking of showing anger makes me feel self-enclosed. I'm scared that this is hurting my mental health in some way. I was wondering if there is a way of controlling these fits of anger.
Mm.
From Baka.
That is a great question because you're absolutely right. There are times I've known people that they might be one of the most personable, nice, and wonderful people to be around. But then if they are in some kind of severe pain or maybe consistent, even dull pain that's just consistent, chronic, you know, it really affects their mood and it really affects how they deal with people around them. And man, I've watched it. So it's definitely that can definitely be a trigger for running into some stuff like this. So I really appreciate you bringing this up, and I'm looking forward to hearing how Ryan is going to talk about it. Have I given you enough time yet, or do I need to keep?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, thanks. Thanks, Joe. I love you.
I love you too.
So yeah, Baka, that sounds like a real difficult time. Obviously you probably have already, but if you haven't, make sure you tell your doctor, family doctor or whatever, if you don't have one, just go see one, go find one. Talk to your parents about getting one, because I know a couple of people, when I was growing up, had frequent migraines, and some of them had them until their 20s, and they just went away and they never came back, and they were really happy about it. But some of them had to get medication for it and things like that, and it helped them. So I would just say, if you can, talk to your doctor about it, and see if they can find out what's causing it, and if there's a way to help your brain not experience those things. I'm not a doctor, so I won't comment too much about it, but I know headaches are generally caused by gas, because what the headache is actually it's not your brain that hurts. And I think it's true for a migraine as well, but it's not your brain that hurts. It's actually your sinuses experiencing pressure or depressurization, and it hurts. A lot of people can get headaches in certain kinds of weather and things like that, because of pressure and stuff. So if you're, geez, I just used the word sinuses. There we go. If your sinuses are sensitive, or they have a blockage or whatever, it can cause problems. But anyways, I would just go and see if you can talk to your doctor about it, just in case they can help. So on to the question. I would say here's some helpful information on this that I can help with. Whenever I'm experiencing something like this, or I notice my mood isn't on track, I notice maybe I'm a little bit standoffish, or maybe just not in the right mindset. I notice my attitude isn't perfect. What I like to do is I just say a little prayer. Now, I know that not everybody here is religious, but I know that Baka Breaker is. So I'm just going to speak to you directly. What I do is I just go, name the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit. Come. Make sure my attitude's in the right place. In the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Simple as that. You can even just simplify it. Just say, come, Holy Spirit, come. Because what happens is it's a mental, what happens is psychologically, your brain starts to think about God, right? And God is, well, of course he's perfect and we're trying to be like him, right? We're trying to emulate him. But it helps your brain remember, hey, I am not only a child of God, but I'm representing God, right? And I'm supposed to be a certain way, right? I'm supposed to act a certain way in order to be a good human being, that sort of thing. So your brain is being reminded, but in that remembering, that's not even a word. In that
It is now.
Reminder.
remindation, that's not a word either. In that act of being reminded, there you go. I figured a way to say it.
I think Princess said reminder.
In that reminder, is that a word
It
that we
is.
can use here? In that
Well, it's
reminder,
a word. It's a word that exists anyway.
it is a word that exists. I don't know if it's the right one.
It's
In that reminding,
it's not a made up word.
I don't know. At least it's not a made up one. In the act
In
of
that,
being
it's a
reminded,
reminder.
yeah, I don't know. In the act of being reminded, your brain is empowered as well as so instead of rather, it's not just that you are being reminded and that gives you more incentive to act without anger, to calm yourself and to act with kindness and love. It also empowers you to act that way. It gives you strength to act that way. It gives you strength against the anger, right? It's important to know that anger isn't evil, right? Anger is not a sin. Anger compels us to do things that can be very good, right? And understanding like, hey, I'm in a fit of anger because of this, and it's been gnawing at me for like 2 hours and I'm sick and tired of it, right? You're justified in that anger. It's okay to be angry. Or it's okay to be angry. What the heck, Ryan? It's okay to be angry. But anger should lead you to action that isn't aggressive, but rather something that moves you forward, right? So if you feel angry, take that anger and use it towards something good. In this case, you're angry about this constant migraine, right? So if that's the way you feel, you're like, man, I got to do something about this, right? So in that anger, maybe make that phone call to your doctor and say, hey, I don't know what to do. Is there a medication for this? Or can I come in? You know, and whatever. Or maybe use that anger to, it's gonna sound crazy, but to talk to somebody and be like, man, I'm so angry. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing not great, but you know what? I'm here to make your day. And then just try to make their day, whatever. Use anger as a fuel to do something good. And I know that sounds really weird because it's like, I'm angry about this. How can I use this to help me in my relationships? But you can do it. But the important thing is, I think for me, especially, what helps me a lot is to just call down the Holy Spirit upon me and just be reminded of God in my life. And that can really just change my attitude. And the Holy Spirit does works and wonders and miracles. I mean, you read the Bible, every miracle that Jesus does is actually an action through the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the one that performs them. Jesus is the one, the body, but the Spirit is the one that actually creates the miracle, which is an interesting thing. But understanding that allows us to understand, like, hey, I just asked the Holy Spirit. So I don't expect my migraine to go away, but it could. But one thing that the Holy Spirit is known for is its intense emotion. It one of the beauties of the Holy Spirit, like if you ever been to church and someone started crying and people are like, oh, what are you crying for? And they say, oh, I've just been, I was overcome by the Spirit, is what they'll say. I was just overcome by the Holy Spirit. It's because the Holy Spirit is just is a form of manifestation of emotion in a way. So it just, to have that on your side is a great relief, and it's very, like I said, empowering. Can help you and can help you a lot. So that's my best suggestion, is to just say, Holy Spirit, come, and then hopefully all your anger will wash away, and your brain will go, okay, it still hurts, yes, but I can smile and I can go out there and talk to people and be enjoyable to be around and enjoy them. Um, my brain and my attitude is now aligned with God, and now I can go ahead and do those things. Now, for those of you who aren't religious, obviously, that might not be something that you're into. And so, what I would suggest, if you're not religious, is just kind of the same thing. Just look at yourself and say, hey, I can be a better human being than this. I don't need to let anger control my actions. I can control my actions. I don't need this headache to tell me what I need to feel like and act like. I'm going to decide that right here and right now. And I'm going to try to be the best me I can be. And so I'm going to go out there to whoever, and I'm just going to be kind, be nice. And sure, I have this headache, but I'm not going to worry about that because I can't do anything about that. It is what it is. Or migraine, I should say, and just act with kindness, act with charity, act with, gentleness and grace, and be the best version of yourself, right? And then we'll get the best rewards. We'll be proud of ourselves. We'll be happy about who we are and what we've done, right? And I think that, that's a win-win for everybody. But yeah, that's what I got to start with. I'm going to move it over to Joe and see what he's got to say.
Yeah, well, I love what you were getting at, Ryan, and it can be so helpful to, when we understand that there's a power beyond us, that's in control, and that can be such a comfort, and especially in a time like that. I had a friend that he was really good at pinpointing the cause of something that was going on in him, whether it was in his body or his, he'd be like, "Well, I'm feeling this way," and he'd be like, "Oh, it's just because I drank too much coffee," or whatever. And he'd be able to just pinpoint the reason, and then just that was able to calm him down, and like, "Oh, I'm just experiencing the effect of this right now."
Mm-hmm.
And when there's an explanation for it in the moment, it can be a little bit easier to deal with. So, for instance, when you, Baka, when you're going through this issue, when you've got this migraine and it's just pounding like crazy, or I've never had a migraine headache. I know people who have. My wife has had plenty of migraines, and I have a hard time relating because I know it's more than just a bad headache. I know it's like there's a lot more to it than just, my head hurts, And I think you mentioned in there the full pain vision blur,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, one thing I was going to say and I forgot to say is try to take a moment to yourself, walk away.
mm,
Walk away
mhm.
from whatever scenario you're in and just take that moment to yourself, because otherwise you won't have, like, I get it. Like, it can be really hard to calm yourself and get a hold of yourself, especially if your vision's being blurred. Jeez, that's intense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. But as you start to feel your anger go up, and you start to you start to be annoyed with little things going on around you. You start to notice, hey, I'm starting to get a little bit hijacked over these things. Why is this? And a lot of times we let our emotions kind of carry us away. But one of the things to kind of rein that in, because I know the question you had at the end there was how to control the fits of anger. And if you can remind yourself, when you start to be annoyed by these little things, you start to feel your blood start to boil a little bit, just remind yourself, this is just because I'm experiencing a migraine right now. This really doesn't have as much to do with the things going on. They're just more impactful to me because I'm in so much pain right now.
Mhm.
And what Ryan was talking about, finding ways to control the pain, finding a doctor, finding different treatments that might help. Excuse me. Those are all those are going to be great helps for you as you move forward. But like my friend used to do, just remind yourself when you start to feel yourself get carried away emotionally or start to let go of reality a little bit, you know, you can kind of recenter yourself and be like, okay, this is just because I'm experiencing this migraine right now. And like Ryan said, sometimes you might need to retreat. You might need to just go and be by yourself. I know that my wife will lay down in the dark and put washcloths on her head. And sometimes they're warm ones and sometimes they're cold ones. I don't know, if there's if
I don't
there's
know.
a difference, but it just depends on what day it is, I guess. What what kind of headache it is, that she's dealing with. But so she'll do that. Um, if I get a bad headache, I usually take Tylenol. Um, but I know that won't even touch a migraine a lot of times. So, um, yeah. But those are some things you can do. And once you're alone, like Ryan said, you can pray. You can also meditate. Meditating really is just it's the act of letting go of your thoughts, just emptying your mind. Because sometimes, while there's a physical reason that you're experiencing the migraine, sometimes our thoughts can make it even worse. And so if we can empty our mind of thoughts, the stress will start to melt away, and then you won't have that extra stress, you know, compounding on the physical pain that you're dealing with as well. So that's something to also try. Prayer, meditation, lay in the dark with your eyes closed, and remind yourself it's going to pass. And if you go and find some help for it, then maybe there'll be some things you can do that'll help it pass quicker. But man, my heart goes out to you because I've watched people in the throes of migraine headaches, and
Mm.
it is so hard, because I always feel so helpless, when somebody I know is experiencing that, because I don't, there really isn't much I can do, except bring them whatever they ask me to bring, you know, and just try and help in any way I can. But mostly it's just leaving, in my wife's case, mostly it's just leaving her alone and trying to be quiet and, letting her just be still for a while. But those are things. I mean, the anger that wells up, yep. If you can try and bring your rational mind back in and answer, okay, this is why this is happening. This is the reason. You might not know the reason why you're having a migraine, but like Ryan was talking about, gases in our head, different pressures in our head. In the springtime, like we're in right now, when things start to thaw out, my allergies start to go bonkers, and so I get more ear aches. But that's just because my sinuses fill up, right? And your ears are all connected to your sinuses and everything, right? I
And
remember
it's
one
connected to your
time.
leg bone, and your
It
leg
is.
bone's connected to your. Wait, that's
So
not accurate.
it is connected in a roundy round through a
Oh
bunch
yeah,
of
yeah.
different other things.
Eventually.
Like they're all connected. But yeah. Um, I can remember I thought I had an ear infection. I thought it was really, really weird too, because um, I was experiencing this. It was actually Ryan and I were working on our first project together as musicians. And my job at the time was working at a car wash. And I can remember going into work and just having this massive headache, and my ears hurt so bad, and I didn't want to be at work, but I had to go to work because we needed every single dollar we possibly could get our hands on at the time. And so I'm there and I'm just dealing with it, and I didn't have health insurance, but I still went to a doctor. My parents were like, you need to go to see a doctor. Here's $90 to pay cash that you're going to need to pay for the doctor. And I was like, wow, thank you. So I ended up going to the doctor, and then he looked at there. He's like, yeah, it's just congestion. Here's a decongestant, like Sudafed. And I was like, wow, that's it. And I remember taking it, and then everything just kind of went, and I could hear again. The weirdest thing about this was I couldn't hear right. I'm like, I'm working on a music project right now, and
Oh
one
yeah,
ear is like, I had this weird
flanger and phaser.
yeah, it was weird. I had this vibrato bass because one pitch was just like a quarter step lower than the other ear, right? It was so weird. But yeah. Found out it was just congestion. So there are physical reasons. When you get to the bottom of that, you can remind yourself of those things, and then you start to put the step-by-step puzzle pieces together. It can help calm you down and be like, all right, here's the reason why this is happening. I don't have to get all angry right now. I don't have to get carried away. I know how to handle this. I'll just go and do what I need to do. So anyway, that's what I had. Ryan, did you have anything else?
Yeah, not too much. But yeah, that was really good, Joe. And I agree. You know, sometimes, if you're like with somebody, right, and you start having a migraine, or the migraine starts to really get to you, I would suggest being like, hey, I'm not mad at you or anything, but I really need to go be with myself right now because I got a migraine, and I don't want to, I don't want to freak out on you. I just really need to try to deal with this migraine right now.
Mm-hmm.
People will respect that. Even if you're at school or something, right? Just like the teacher's in the middle of his thing or whatever, you're just gonna be like, hey, I'm really sorry. I have a migraine. I cannot understand at all what's going on right now. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but can I like go to the nurse office or something? They'll say, okay, they'll get it. And if they don't, well, one, they're a terrible teacher. But if they don't, say, it would really sink and anger you more, right? To sit there in the classroom. So if they didn't let you do it, what I would do is just put your head down and say, game over, Teacher, nothing you say matters from this point on, at this point of time, because I cannot pay attention. So I'm just gonna put my head down. If they get mad at you, just say, okay, I'm going to the office, then see you. Or if you want, you can just go, if they deny you, they can just say, yeah, no, I think I know better than you. I'm gonna go off to the nurse's office. Because honestly, that's nothing that, like, it doesn't help anybody, especially you, for you to sit there in class and try to do, I don't know, like, if you can't understand what they're saying, if you get to the point where your vision is blurred, like, there's no way you're concentrating on what they're saying and you're learning. There's no way you're learning anything, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, just say you got to go to the nurse's office and just go, pretty much, because that's going to help you on that day get over it faster. Because I know that sitting there with the teacher talking and the loud noises and the super bright lights of school, like all of that, because when you have a migraine, your sensitivity goes up to everything, so you kind of just want to close your eyes in a dark room, right? And so getting out of there is what's best for you, because then you can start to recover faster. And I'm not a doctor, but I would have to imagine a doctor would agree with me on that. Try to find a way to get away. Now, that's not to fix your anger. That's just to fix your health and wellness, so that you can be back on top of your, feeling healthy and good, so that, the symptoms stop bothering you. He said, honestly, I haven't had horrible migraines in school. Okay, good. More of the slight annoyances. Okay, it's more of the slight annoyance ones. Yeah, got it. Yep. Well, if you ever get them in school, just go to the nurse's nurse's office. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and be like, hey, I gotta go. I'm sorry. And just be polite about it and just say, hey, this is what's going on, and it's not going to do us any good if I stay here, because I can't pay attention, and I'm really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And be polite and humble about it, and you're probably just going to be able to go. And it's unfortunate, but it is. But it is what it is. But I'm glad you haven't experienced that at school. But at home, if that's when you experience it most, then I would start checking into possibilities of there being mold at your house, because mold is known to cause a lot of issues, because the spores enter through your nasal cavities and they spread throughout your sinuses, right? They start to make you feel sick, and they actually will make you sick, especially if you're allergic to mold. It could be dust. Some people are allergic to dust. Also, it could be certain gases in the air at your home as well. So, and I can't guarantee any of that, but if it's happening more at home than it is at school, that might be something that help you deduce what it is when you talk to your doctor about it. So I would kind of keep track of those things, what's causing and what's not, so that you can give your doctor the best information, so they can give you the best remedy. But yeah, that's what I got. Hopefully that's helpful. And hopefully that gives you some courage to take those steps, because I know, as in my youth, I would just deal with everything. I would get sick and I wouldn't even tell anybody, and I would just deal with it. I still do that today, but that's because I'm old enough to know I can handle it by myself, right? But back then I was just a kid and I didn't have, I couldn't just go to the doctors by myself or whatever. I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want to be in anybody's, I don't want to be an annoyance to anybody, right? So I was a very sickly child. I was sick all the time. So it's kind of like, I'm not going to tell anybody. They already know. No one knew most of the time. But anyways, no, I hated raising my hand in school to let teachers know anything. I didn't want to stand out. I was very secluded and reserved. So very shy. And I just want to be the person that tells you, hey, it's okay to stand out. It's okay to raise your hand in school. It's okay to let people know that you're not okay, because that's how you start moving forward to becoming okay. Sometimes sometimes it's dealing with things yourself and understanding, hey, I've got to be mature and I've got to be responsible for myself and take those actions by myself. But sometimes it's the other way. It's like, hey, I just need to let people know right now. I just need to get into my doctor or whatever it is, right? And not to be afraid to do so. So yeah, I mean, you have to be the decider on that. But yeah, I just want to encourage you, don't be afraid to take action, because I know I was when I was a kid, and that didn't help anything. So there you go.
Nice. Bach, I was reading through your topic, and there was one thing that I noticed in there. You said, both the pain of the migraine and my disliking of showing anger makes me feel self-enclosed, and I'm scared this is hurting my mental health in some way. To feel self-enclosed, I'm imagining what's happening when we're in pain, when we're in a great deal of pain, and then we're also acting in a way that we don't really think we ought to be. Because yeah, it's like when we're just being angry, we don't like being angry. We don't like being angry with people, or making people feel bad, and all those things. That starts, it kind of turns the guns inward at ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
For one, we're kind of focused on the migraine. We're focused on what we're experiencing with the pain that we're dealing with, right? So that's the first thing. The second is, okay, so you're showing anger. You don't like the fact that you're being angry with people. You know that, it's maybe not appropriate to, react that way. And so that is like step number 2 of turning the guns in at yourself. And now you're examining yourself pretty closely now. And so there would be a lot of self-focus. And as Ryan has said before, with regard to depression, that's one of the main things that causes a lot of depression, is just that intense self-focus. And then what was the other thing? A negative attitude? Was that
Well, yeah, a negative perception of self
negative
in a way. Negative
perception?
perception
Yes,
on
thank
top
you.
of having
Okay,
self-focus,
right.
putting those two together.
Yep, that can be a recipe for disaster or for disaster for depression.
Um, well, unfortunately.
But so as you're this is where rationally talking yourself through, okay, this is why this is happening. You know, now you'll be able to explain to yourself, okay, I'm going through a migraine. That's why I'm overly focused on myself. I'm also dealing with this anger because that's kind of a natural response to just being in constant pain. You know, a lot of people, it's kind of how we get. We get short with people, we get kind of irritable, we get kind of cranky. You know, it just kind of happens that way. And so, but if we're behaving in a way we don't feel like we should, that can definitely make us feel self-conscious. And to understand that it's okay. You're going through some stuff. You know, you can do the best you can. And there are reasons beyond yourself that this is happening. It's not like you're choosing to have this experience. So one of the things that has always helped me is remembering, okay, what are the things that I can actually control in this scenario? What are the things that I caused, and what are the things that I'm just dealing with that were thrust upon me against my will, I guess, right? So when you can differentiate between those, and you can be like, okay, this situation that I'm dealing with, I didn't go out and try to get myself a headache or a migraine or whatever. I didn't go out and try to make myself irritable because of it. I'm dealing with it the best way that I possibly can. And in that way, you can give yourself, you can cut yourself a little bit of slack and be a little bit patient with yourself and say, you know what? I didn't choose this, but I'm going through it, and I'm going to do it the best I can. And I'm probably not going to do it right. I say that to myself all the time, I'm probably not going to do this all the way right, but that's okay because I'm learning. Whatever I don't get right this time, I will, try to do better next time. And it was funny because I started a quest on getting better at social media stuff, and I'm terrible at it. But I'm learning, and the one thing I know is that if I keep doing it, I will get better. And it's the same for everything. It's the same here too. The more you try to get better and improve each time this happens, the better you're going to get at it. And so you can understand, like it's going to be just fine. You're going to be okay. And just remind yourself of that. So, anyway, I'm hoping that was helpful for you, Baka. Ryan, you didn't have anything else, did you?
I said one thing, and that is to be reminded to yourself about the beauty of suffering. In those moments where you don't pick to suffer and it just happens to you, one thing you can do is, like in your prayer life, just say, hey, God, I'm willing to suffer for this life that you've given me, and I know that, obviously you don't want this suffering for me either, but allow this suffering to bear great fruit for me. Allow this suffering to harden my resolves, harden my ability to have self-control and over my emotions and that sort of thing. Allow this suffering to be fruitful, and may it ultimately be for the glory of God. I think that doing that helps me a lot, and it takes those moments of suffering and makes them into something that's not just pointless, not just negative, but allows your sorrow and your sufferings to be used for the good of mankind and the good and glory of God. And I think, and especially yourself, for me, when I'm suffering and I think about those things and I'm allowed to take my suffering and turn it into something good, I feel way better about myself. I feel way better about myself and the scenario I'm in. Like, even just, a migraine or a headache, when you're sitting there and you can do nothing about it and it's not something that you wanted, you're just sitting there suffering and you just go, you know what? I am suffering, but suffering is beautiful. Suffering creates beautiful things. And even if I don't see it right now, this is true for this scenario as well. And immediately I start to feel better. Immediately I start to think about how this could bear fruit, how this could be a good thing. Immediately I start to think about positive things, instead of negative things, about how, I wish this pain would go away and there's nothing I can do and just blah, 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 and it stinks. And immediately my brain starts going to more positive things. It starts thinking about beautiful things, right? And times where I've suffered before, where it's come to great accomplishment or, to bear great fruit. And so why I say that is also, like Joe was just talking about, turn those guns away from yourself, right? Now you've got this inward thought that isn't just negative about how you're suffering. Now you've got an inward thought that's positive, which will help you like yourself more. In those moments where you're upset with your anger, you can now turn to something that's positive and go, you know what, I'm suffering. That's good. It doesn't feel good, but all good things are produced through suffering. Love does not exist without the ability to suffer, because otherwise you can't prove it, right? Loving someone is part of being able to suffer for someone, is to show your love, right? If you can't even suffer for someone, then how can you prove your love, right? You're like, oh, you just did that. It didn't take anything away from you. You just did it. It's not a sacrifice, So even in those moments, it's like, I don't even see where this is going. I don't see any future. I'm not suffering for a reason. I'm just suffering. You start to find reason. And that helps. That helps so much with your attitude, and to take those guns and stop pointing them at yourself, and maybe put the guns down. And
Yeah,
so
you shouldn't
there
be
you go.
pointing them anywhere anyway, right? Like that.
Yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to say. But yeah.
Well, awesome. That's a great way to wrap it up, I think. But Baka, thank you so much for the topic, and thank you for having the guts to share. Because sometimes I know it's not easy, but man, we sure do appreciate you. And hopefully some of that is helpful. You can take some of that and and do something with it. Excuse me. So anyway, yeah, let's move on. What do you say, Ryan?
Yeah. Pear still with us?
I haven't seen Pear in a little bit, but
oh, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not.
It's possible. Who knows? At any rate, we'll go through the list again.
Yeah.
And if you hear your name, feel free to give a shout out. So Sevlev, SK, Awkward, Pika, Jesse, Con Vulcan, Amira, Random, Ian Lamb, Helmarock Hero, Pear, and Anonymous. And yeah, I know Anonymous, but I'm anonymous.
I'm not. I'm Neano.
I'm checking in with Anonymous.
Okay, cool.
Anonymous is here.
Okay. Excellent. Well, then let's do that one next. What do you say?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Good plan. I'll even stop the current topic and see, it went away.
I like your plan.
You like my plan?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Reminds me of all that, which is good.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And Princess has the link. I'm not even going to repost it because it's legit.
What?
I know, right? Whoa. See? Even I can make improvements too. So
I'm so glad you trust me.
Princess, you're amazing.
You are too. Shall we?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So this is Dealing with Unjust Judgments Part 2 from Anonymous. All right, so hey, it's me again. Anonymous. Specifically the one who said how my parents were homophobic and anti-LGBTQ. I believe it was on February 24th when I submitted that. So I took y'all's word on it for it and actually did it. I went on a walk with my dad and I talked about hobbies I had, skateboards, sports, random stuff. And then I talked about leadership and how I'm using the student council for that. Then I shifted the conversation to the mental committee I serve. I talked about LGBTQ and how their chances of suicide and mental illness are much higher than most. And that is why the student government's mental health committee, we're trying to set up a mental health panel for Pride Month and talk about mental health for the LGBTQ community. The conversation continued like this. I said, hey, so I know how my faith is saying don't be pro of all this LGBTQ stuff, but is it okay if I do this panel? He said this in return. The problem is that you can't bring up LGBTQ topics. People will fight you over that. You can help, but not support them. Topics like mental health are for everyone, not just for LGBTQ. We're immigrants. We have had a lot of things that we have to worry about. Just be quiet and stay quiet. We talked for a bit and then wrapped it up because I didn't want to get into a full-on fight with my dad. But before I did, we walked past the LGBTQ flag on the house. And then the following dialogue played out. I said, "You see that flag, Dad?" My dad said, "Yeah." I said, "What do you see?" My dad said, "I don't know." I said, "That is the LGBTQ flag." My dad said, "Oh, I thought it was a flag from a country from Europe or something. I don't know. It's already a struggle for me as an immigrant of this country, so I don't need to talk about LGBTQ." After this, I now see my dad differently. It's not because he chose not to support LGBTQ, but it's because the idea is literally foreign to him as an immigrant in the US, which is understandable. But he is still remaining in his ways, and I am still in the same predicament as before. I want to help LGBTQ people, but to do something like a mental health panel talking about LGBTQ mental health or having LGBTQ friends, then I'm stuck with all those things because they're off limits for me because my dad said so. What should I do in this situation? From Anonymous.
Mm. That is a great question, and I'm really glad. I appreciate so much when you come back and share with us, how things have been going. After
Yeah.
we, when you bring a topic and stuff like that, it's always great to have updates and then, continuations of stuff, and yeah, it's awesome. So I want to say thank you so much for that, and also thank you for your level of compassion, for wanting to take action to help people in their mental health situations, and it's so admirable that you care, and I really appreciate you for that. um so and also, uh that the fact of seeing your dad in a different light, with him being an immigrant and all that kind of stuff, that sounds to me like it was a huge step as well. So yeah, I gotta commend you a whole bunch, Anonymous. That is fantastic. So there's probably a lot we could talk about here. So I'm not gonna stand in Ryan's way anymore. And Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, I just want to say the same thing that Joe said. I commend you, and I really appreciate the fact that you gave your time, or you gave your dad the time and compassion and understanding to kind of level with them and understand, like, oh, okay, so he kind of sees things differently, mainly being that he's an immigrant and he's still kind of trying to come to understand everything that's going on, and isn't fully sure about those things. And yeah, I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I one of the interesting things is, you know, you're Catholic as well, I remember, or Christian at the least, um, which is cool. And one of the things that we have to remember is that, of course, we want to do the right thing, right? We want to do the things that are right. We want to do the things that are good, for people. Um, One of our commandments, as Christian people, is to honor thy mother and father.
Hmm.
Now, this is a hard saying because when we are children, it doesn't mean that we are not as smart as our parents in things. I know some children that are smarter than me in many things. My brother has children that know more about dinosaurs than I do because dinosaurs are cool to them. And I never thought they were cool, but they're cool to them. So they know a whole lot more about dinosaurs, right? It's a hard saying to follow because when you're pressed against your parents' wishes and the idea of possibly being able to do something that is good, and they are saying, no, don't do that good thing, right? It puts you in a tough spot. It really puts you in a tough spot. And you say, okay, so do I do the good thing or do I listen to my parents and respect my parents' wishes, right? Here's I think there's a lot of different ways to go about that and a lot of different answers that people can give on this subject, right? To honor your parents is to, I would say, well, sorry, to respect their wishes, right, is definitely to do the things that they tell you to do, right? So long as they are not in, so long as they're not sinful, right? Naturally. And to be understanding of your parents' wishes, even if they are preventing you from doing something that is good, can be, well, of course, helpful to your relationship with them, naturally, but also good in another sense. And that is this. When you honor your father and mother, of course, honoring them doesn't just mean to listen to them, right? Honoring them means to do the things that would honor them, right? So let's say, for example, they didn't tell you whether or not you could pick up a pencil off the ground that someone dropped, but doing so honors them. Why? Because it puts forward a good name for yourself. It puts forward a good name for them as well, because they're the ones that are raising you. They're the ones that are responsible for you in your youth, right? And so to take that to the next step, if they're asking you to do something, so long that it isn't sinful, it honors them for you to follow through with that action, right? Because then you're representing them. If you do something that is political, is that the right word? Controversial. So controversial being, like, I guess this whole LGBTQ thing, right? It's a very controversial subject.
Mhm.
So if you put your foot forward and say, this is what I believe in, suddenly now your parents, that controversial statement gets put back onto your parents. They're the ones responsible for you. And so then they have to be the ones that are responsible for your action that is controversial. And what I mean is now, if you take a step forward to say, hey, I'm an advocate for LGBTQ, now your parents are put under that pressure if you do something that is considered wrong or considered right, either way, right? So when you honor your parents, it's important to, of course, pay heed to what they desire for themselves, but also what they desire for you, right? When we are doing something that is good, right, we should in nature, by nature, be honoring our parents because we've done something good, and now that good goes to them, right? And that should be how it is. However, sometimes things that are good are sacrificed for things that are great. For example, I could do something good for someone, and that is buy a gift for a friend. It's a good thing. But I could save up my money a little bit more, and instead of buying a gift for my friend, I take all of my money and I donate it to a charity, right? Now, is one better than the other? I would say one produces more good than the other. while my relationship with that friend would increase, and that's a beautiful thing, giving to charity to these people I don't even know and allowing them to thrive in life, allowing them to survive another day, that's that's easily argued that that's a better, kinder, more generous action, right? So similarly, when our parents might ask us, hey, don't cross the street. I know that you want to go get that ball for the other child that just dropped it and you want to help them out, but don't cross the street. That's the rule. Don't cross the street because I don't want you to get hit by a car. And let's say you say, okay, screw my parents. I'm going to go cross that street and pick up that ball for that child that just lost it. You know, he was playing with it. He lost it. It flew across the street. I'm going to go grab it for him. And so you disobey your parents. Now, let's say everything goes off scot-free. You come back with the ball. What's going to happen? Your parents are going to be very disappointed in you. They're going to be proud that you've done something good, but they're going to be disappointed in that you have disobeyed their rules, right? That you've put yourself in danger because the street is dangerous. So they're saying, hey, don't cross that street. We want to make sure you're safe, so don't cross the street for any reason, you know? And your intention is to do good, but what you've caused is you've caused something that is good, but you've also caused something that is bad for your relationship with your parents, right? So, like I said, it's a tricky thing to navigate through for everybody about the aspect of doing good versus honoring your parents. So in this situation, what do you do? I think that it's important to honor your parents and respect your parents and their understanding of things and their lack thereof, right? So if it were me, I would say, okay, mom and dad, I won't do this. I won't join the committee or whatever it is. But because, like, I would make a deal. I would make a deal with my parents if I could. I would say, look, I'm not going to join this committee that I really want to join because you have said not to, and I'm going to honor that. And they will be very happy that you have done that. They will be very proud of you for saying this. Say, you know, I'm called to honor your decisions for me because I expect that your decisions for me are in goodwill, are in good nature. You want the best for me. That's why you tell me what, you know, to do, etc., or what not to do. And so I'm going to respect, I'm going to honor that. But because I'm not joining that committee or because I'm not joining that group or this cause, I'm going to take that time and do this with it, right? And you can pick what that is. But take that time maybe to try to talk to your dad and mom more about why it is you feel deeply about the subject. Maybe talk to your mom and dad more about being more charitable, giving to more places as you feel called to. Maybe take that time to do something that they do approve of that is consequently helpful to those communities that you can't help. Maybe spend more time talking to people that you know that are your friends or whatever that are that way, trying to help them in their security, trying to help them in their mental security, right? Trying to help them feel like, hey, it's okay if you're that way. I love you, you know, helping them in that way. Take that time and you make the call. You make that decision. But I think that would be good to just maybe spend more time with your parents and say, hey, you know, like, if you don't understand this, I want to explain it so that you do. Because it's important to me. And if it's important to me, then it should be important to you. Because this is where my life is headed. Mm-hmm. And you want to you want to direct me in the right direction, then let's talk about that. Right? And I know it's hard to have those conversations, especially with your parents. But your parents will appreciate that. Even if they don't say that they appreciate it, even if they don't act like they appreciate it, they might get mad. Ultimately, in the end, they're going to be proud of you. Even if they don't say it. They're going to be, if you come to them with that attitude, like, hey, you're my parent. You're supposed to be telling me what's good and what's bad. You're supposed to be showing me the world in the right light. So that's why I'm here to talk to you about it. And there's all this information I know that you guys don't, and that's fine. And I want to share it with you. And I want you to help me figure this out, because we need to have an honest discussion, because this is really something I want to talk about. This is something I want to do. This is something, and if you're preventing me, then we got to have a talk. And that's what I would do. And that's hard, but I think that's the best way you can go about it. But that's what I got. It might not be the best. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get over to Joe and see what he's got to say about it.
Well, what I have to say is probably not going to be the best. Like yours
I disagree.
Yours was more bester.
Whatever.
Anonymous, I got to tell you, your dad loves you and wants what's best for you. And it sometimes, we can look at our parents, and sometimes as parents, we kind of, we can be a little overzealous in our, goodwill for our children and actually start to do things that aren't as good for them, but we think
that's
it's
so
good,
true.
It's
so true.
I mean, I'm a dad. I understand I'm fallible, like I mess things up. I'm good at it. But and it's interesting, sometimes we want to keep our kids safe. We want our kids to grow up to be good individuals, right? And we have an idea of what we want our kids to be, and it's like, man, we get so excited for our kids, and and sometimes what happens is we inadvertently, in our goodwill and our love and our caring for our kids, we can want them to be what we wanted to be. I see this all the time. I see this. I was in a fine arts program in college, and so I saw dancers who didn't really like being dancers, but it was expected of them. I see that my son did gymnastics, and he loved it. Now, that's not something I ever pictured he would want to be into, but he was, and he loved it, and he's good at it. And it's expensive, but but that's beside the point. I go there. I would go and take him to gymnastics. Now, we're not doing it now because of COVID, but before, when he was doing it, I can remember, we'd go and you can always pick out the parents that were a little bit
pushy.
What's that?
Pushy?
Pushy is too weak of a word.
But you started with a little bit. Really pushy then.
What happens is, these sometimes as parents, now I understand that I could fall into this as well. I totally could. And so I always have to remember to kind of back up a little bit and be like, hey, God has a plan for their life. Mm-hmm. It's not the same plan as he has for my life. And, and his plan is likely not my plan, because his plans are higher than my plans, right? So at some point, I've got to be like, I love my child. But I've got two boys, and I want them both to be who they are supposed to be who they were meant to be. And I try to take the attitude of, I want to help discover it. Right? Rather than I want to try and push them into something. I want to try and make available stuff for them to try to see what they like, so then we can kind of start to figure out a path for them to go on. My oldest son loves to draw, and he's great at it. He's doing renditions of like Looney Tunes characters right now. Like that's what he's into. And so and
Nice.
he doesn't trace them, he copies them, and they turn out spectacular. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so good.
Wow.
And and so he's, and it's just because he loves doing it. He's been doing it and doing it and doing it his whole life. Like almost every day he just draws, you know, and it's great. Now that might not be what he ends up doing with his life. I don't know. But it's something he likes. And so it's something we can encourage. Now, this isn't a talk about parenting. This is just basically, this started with your dad loves you, right? And he wants what's best for you. And understand, he's a human. And I see that this is coming to light for you a little bit when you guys were talking about the flag and he didn't know what it was because, I mean, he's an immigrant and he's got enough on his mind with just dealing with that, and so it's like it's so far off his radar screen that he doesn't even he won't, it doesn't matter, right? So he's got his own things, and he probably looks at the perspective of, hey, we're an immigrant family, or I'm an immigrant, and I want for my child to have this opportunity. They probably came here, in part to create opportunity for you guys. I mean, what, America's the land of opportunity, right? Are we even talking about America? I don't even know. Maybe we're not. Either way.
I would assume so, since the father assumed it was a European flag.
Okay. Well, at any rate.
Actually, yes. But they said immigrant in the U.S.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So anyway.
Yeah. So the U.S. Yes.
Okay. So that's probably part of the reason that they came here, was because of the opportunity that they wanted. And they want that opportunity for you. Now, in this regard, take what Ryan said. I mean, that's wonderful. Like, we need to honor our parents. While we are in their care, yes, it's like Ryan was saying, it's a hard saying, but yes, that's one of the commandments, and and it's good to do. But that doesn't mean you can't help. He said in return, the problem is you can't bring up LGBTQ issues. People will fight you over that. You can help but not support them. Topics like mental health are for everybody, not just for LGBTQ. We're immigrants. We have a lot of things we have to worry about. Just be quiet and stay quiet. So I can kind of hear where he's coming from. He's like, let's not poke our heads up too high. We're trying to make it here. Being immigrants already can be tough. We don't need to make things tougher. And because this could, to take a stand can make your life difficult. It absolutely can. I've done it, in a small way with clients of mine in my inspections business. Every time I take a stand, I put myself out there and I'm like, this is going to get harder for me. But it's the right thing to do. We're dealing with matters of truth and consistency here. And so I'm like, I will plant my foot and be like, nope, I'm not moving past this point. You move. And I'm like, yep, things are about to get hard for me. I'm about to get a bunch of emails and phone calls and, all kinds of stuff, But in that small area, it was the right thing to do. Now here, there's a point that your dad has here. Mental health topics are for everybody.
Absolutely.
Because LGBTQ people, while there may be a certain, there may be a higher rate of mental health issues there, and I can totally understand that, because, especially I would say in the T area, the trans area seems to me like it would be really hard because, our bodies are built a certain way, and in our mind we are thinking it's wrong, and so like to have something that ingrained in us that we feel like is wrong seems to me like it would be such a huge struggle. And my heart goes out to anybody that's dealing with a struggle that's that deep, because that would be so hard and so painful. And man, but these mental health issues, I mean, it's not limited to the LGBTQ community. Everybody has something that they're dealing with. That's why we do this show. But so one of the great things, if you were to work for mental health in general, by what you've stated, you're going to end up helping a lot of LGBTQ people. Because there are a lot of them that deal with mental health issues. Now, there are a lot of people, not LGBTQ people, that deal with mental health issues as well. So the question then I would have you ask yourself is, what am I more interested in? Am I more interested in helping the mental issues that LGBTQ people face and the issues in general, because there are societal issues too, all that? Am I more interested in confronting the issues, or am I more interested in the ideal that they represent? That's the where you're going to have to ask yourself that question. Because here's the thing. If you are interested in supporting the mental health of LGBTQ people, that's a beautiful thing. So if you support mental health in general, here's the beautiful thing. You're going to support the LGBTQ people that need the mental health support. Because there are probably LGBTQ people that maybe don't need as much mental health support. But you're going to end up really helping the ones that need the help. And you're also going to help people not in that community with mental health issues too, which there are a lot of people dealing with that too. So I can understand your dad's train of thought here a little bit. And it can be a little bit tough, because as a Catholic, and as I think they're Catholic too?
I thought that was the case, yes.
Okay. If that's the case, it's really interesting, because we can take a look at some type of behavior that is called sinful, and we can make a judgment against somebody based on what we believe is right or wrong. But the thing about it is, all of us have sin, and I can't judge anybody else, because I know that I've got as many problems as they do. So, but it's easy to fall into that camp, I guess, and say this is a thing that's scourging society. But it's like, no, these are people. And in your case, you want to help them, and specifically the ones that have mental health issues. So I think that'd be a great place to start, is to start with the mental health area. And then, because by default, you're going to end up helping a lot of LGBTQ people in general. And then as you grow and get older, and you kind of start to get out from the shadow of your parents' wings, then maybe you can be a little bit more specific and start to pursue specifically, okay, this community and their mental health issues. And so, but it's going to be a progressive thing. And honestly, anything you decide to do is going to be a progression of steps. So don't be afraid to start where you can and where you're at. And don't be afraid to respect your parents' wishes, as well as find a way to help, because he did say you can help but not support them, right? So he did say you can help, and all you have to do is find a way to help. And then just probably, I think what he wants is he just wants you to stay outside of the controversy if he can.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what it sounds like to me.
I can understand that as a parent. You know, I mean, there may be a time in my kids' lives where I want them to stand and be, you know, vocal about something and whatever, you know, and I hope that they're standing on something that's good, right? And something that's actually going to help. But at the same time, while they're growing up, it'd be great if they could, you know, just grow up, learn what they need to learn, and then save the controversial stuff for when they get a little bit older. So anyway, I know I've talked for a while. I'm going to hand it back over to Ryan. Ryan?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say. I just wanted to say, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Joe was talking about one, it seems like your dad, you know, he wants you to help people, but just doesn't want you to stand on the political side of LGBTQ saying, hey, this is what I stand for. This is who I support, and I'm with them 100%. Because, I mean, he just, that, like Joe was saying, that is a very controversial and very strong thing to do. And he wants to make sure that you aren't digging yourself into a hole.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, right now, I'm sure you've heard about it. We have something called cancel culture going on. That's what the media is calling it, where people, I mean, this has been happening for probably the last 10 years. People are getting fired because of what they believe in.
Mm.
We are currently living in the United States of America, in which you get fired for your religious beliefs, for your political beliefs, and etc.
Mm-hmm.
People will call you racist even if you're not, and fire you over it. That's currently the United States that we're living in. And your father probably sees that and is saying, just stay quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're too loud and you're on the wrong side of the fence, you'll get fired. If you're too loud and you're on the right side of the fence, according to most people, but it's the wrong side of the fence for some people, you can't get a job. You can't get yourself a gym membership. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people will kick you out of everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's currently the situation that's going on in America. And it's stupid, super stupid. And I can't believe that's America that's doing this, right? Because it's so backwards.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, that's the current culture we're living in. And your dad is probably afraid of that. In fact, here's something that you probably wouldn't have thought about and is crazy. But let's say you stand up for the LGBTQ or you stand against them, either way. And somehow word gets out that that's going on and your parents have a job, right? And their bosses hear about it.
Mm.
And their bosses fire your parents because of something you stood up for. Sounds insane. But I can guarantee it's happened in America. Mm-hmm. Right now, the way that things are, it's dumb. So what your dad is saying is stay quiet, is what he's just trying to be concerned over your well-being and the family's well-being, because he knows that making a political statement right now is a crime. So, not a legitimate crime, but people treat it as such. So, under those kind of circumstances, I think it would be maybe not correct or good, but at least wise to try to stay on the down low on that side, just because, of course, standing up for what you're believing is a beautiful thing, and you should. But when it is, when it could possibly get your parents fired for their job, you have to take caution. You have to kind of say, you want to make sure you're standing up for what's good, but you also don't want to do so in such a way that it is violent. You don't want to cause a violent reaction out of somebody else so that your father gets fired from his job or so on and so forth, right? So you tread things with tact in life. When you speak to someone about something, just like you like we had suggested last time, and you did it great. When you talk to your parents, you talk about different things, and then you go on to your next subject, which is the deep subject, right? That's using tact. And you have to use tact in many things in life because we're all human beings and we have relationships with each other, and that's how we navigate things. So just wanted to say, I think it's great that you want to stand for something and you want to do good things, right? One thing I would not buy into is I wouldn't buy into the philosophy without fully understanding it of anything, right? Ever.
Don't be afraid to question.
Yeah, don't be afraid to question. Don't be afraid. And here's the thing. It's important to question, especially those that are in charge of something like this, right? So here's something. If you are talk to an LGBTQ person and you've got questions for them, ask away. If they start to get upset at you for your questions because your questions start to pick apart some of their philosophy, then that's a bad situation, and you kind of just let it go. At that point, you just say, okay, it's good enough, and let it go. But it tells me, that hey, there's something that they are not sure of in their own philosophy, right? And that could happen in anything. So just make sure you ask questions. And I'm not trying to say that LGBTQ philosophy is entirely evil, but I will say that there are things that I disagree with it. Doesn't mean I hate any LGBTQ, etc. I love them all, but it doesn't mean I subscribe to their philosophy. And I think that your dad is trying to say the same thing when he says don't support them. Don't subscribe to their philosophy without understanding it. Stand for them because they're human beings, but don't subscribe to their philosophies because we don't know them. We don't know the philosophies and if they are for the good of humanity or not. So you have to ask questions. You have to really get in there and try to figure those things out. And I would do that whenever you can. It's important to. And it's not just to figure out if they're wrong. It's to figure out also where they're right and where you can help them more. Because if you want to help them, if you want to help someone who has a mental problem, then you have to understand their philosophy. Because it's that which is causing problems oftentimes with their mental state. Not always, but many times it's their perspective of the world or the way they understand things or the way things aren't working the way they're meant to be, that sort of thing. So you kind of got to understand this. You got to ask those questions. And so I agree with 100% with Joe is just to get in there and instead of worrying about helping the LGBTQ, worry about helping everybody. And the LGBTQ will come to you. If you're being helpful, you'll just be right in line with that anyways. It's going to happen. And then you're respecting your father's wishes as well as performing where what ultimately you want to do, and it's to help people. And as you go through life and you do this, eventually when you get to adulthood, you can make that decision for yourself and not have any repercussions for your family. And that is to say, hey, do I want to go full on helping specifically LGBTQ? Do I want to go full on helping, I think last time we talked about Black Lives Matters or something like that, a specific race of people? Or do I want to be more broad? Where am I most learned and where can I help people the most? And it might be one of those things. So I encourage you to keep on looking into it. But until then, just try to help everybody in every category. Because here's the thing. If you help people in all sorts of different walks of life, and you start studying those things, you start studying the way people think, you start studying psychology and psychiatry and those type of things. By the time you get to adulthood, right, and you get to make the choice of if you want to go full on to just straight LGBTQ people that you're helping or whatever, that helping all those other people with all sorts of different other issues is going to help you a ton. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find many times where you're helping someone who's LGBTQ and you start to solve a problem for them and you find, wait a minute, I'm solving a problem that has nothing to do with LGBTQ. I'm solving a problem that has something to do with this whole thing that I met, that I solved with a person that was totally different scenario. And it's just tying in over here. And I don't have to try to figure that out. I learned it because I dealt with other people first. And so I would encourage you to try to study it as broad as you can. The more that you can help people with their mental health in every category, the more you can help in general because humans are humans. LGBTQ or straight, humans are humans.
Mm-hmm.
And we operate with brains and a heart and lungs and all of these things, which are physically very similar and mentally very similar. We have words for emotions. We don't consider emotions so unique that we can't pick them apart or give them words. Like everybody has our own set of emotions that are different than everybody else's. No, we have words for those emotions because our brains work the same, right? We know what anger is. We know what sadness is, and they're the same for everybody. Now, there's different reasons causing them, and there are different intensities of those, but we understand them the same. And so if you just work on everybody in general and help people, whoever comes to you, whoever you meet, and start working on that, it's going to help you no matter where you go with that sort of career or just life path. But yeah, that's what I got. And sorry, I was going to add just a little bit, but I ended up adding a lot. But anyways,
It was a good lot.
there you go. A good lot.
And it ended too quick. You got any more?
No.
Okay. Well, I did want to highlight some stuff that's going on in the chat. Baka said, you push any button on a pushy topic, you can start a war right now. That's absolutely true. So that's, one of the things, that your dad might be thinking about in his, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are going on in his head about this whole situation and, how to guide you properly. But that is absolutely true that there are some hot topics right now. And if you push any button,
yep, any one of those many buttons that are very easy to hit.
Yep, you can easily start a war. One thing to remember, these other ones I want to get to too. Some beliefs come from a misunderstanding and can be changed by learning from those that you dislike. So so if you feel like you are standoffish against somebody, just taking a little bit of that barrier down and trying to understand them a little bit, you can really learn a lot. And it might help to form your beliefs in a different way. It might help you to understand why you believe the things you believe and why they do as well. You saw this in perfect example when you took the time to take a walk with your dad and just started talking. You did the thing that Ryan recommended from your last post, and that excuse me,
which I'm super proud of you, by the way, because people generally don't listen when people give advice.
Well, and these can be fearful things to do. These can be fearful steps to take.
Super.
Absolutely. And the fact that you did it was incredible. And now, but what happened? You learned to see your dad in a different light. So you learned a little bit more. And it kind of, there's a little bit more understanding there now. And so that's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And so now this foundation's being built, and, from this, some really fruitful conversations can start to take place. I think that's really cool. Saula says, what was the wording? Help but not support. I agree with that. As someone who dealt with this before it had a name, I think that all of the politics around it hurts the people involved in it more now. Helping them is important, but I would be careful about the politics of it. Helping everyone includes helping them. Doing it in a non-political way, I would think, would help them the most. And that, man, that's super important. And that ties in with what Ryan was saying. Yes, we want to help them. We want to help them as people. We look at the oppression that people might be going through, and we look at them as individuals, and we see them going through pain and hardship and stuff. And we get a heart for that. But then before we know it, we're carried away into some political ideology that we didn't necessarily sign up for, but it's attached to this thing that we felt strongly about. And so, but we get dragged in that way. Case in point, the news. All of it. Any side of it. It's got an agenda. I promise.
Oh yeah.
I
Ain't
promise.
no news without an agenda.
I would go so far as to say there isn't any information, whether it's news, a book, an audio, us, there's an agenda.
Yep. I won't hide it. We got an agenda.
Yep. Our agenda is to help people
Yeah.
to the best of our ability, with the best of our knowledge, in the best way we possibly can, and love you guys. Like that's our agenda, really, because we understand, much like you do, Anonymous, that there's a mental health crisis going on for a lot of people. And we're not professionally trained in the mental health area, but we've both experienced struggles in that area. And we know how important it is to just feel like you got somebody in your corner. And so that's our agenda. You know, we want to be that guy in your corner if we can, you know, and maybe give some perspective. But excuse me, just be really careful as you're going through here, because I admire your heart, Anonymous. I admire the fact that you want to reach out to these people that are having these challenges. That is so huge. And that's such a great thing. And to want to change things on a large scale is so admirable. And I feel the same way. You know, I've always felt like I wanted to do something big. I wanted to make a big splash. But here's the thing. I've learned that me doing something that a lot of people see doesn't really make that big of an impact. What makes the bigger impact is when I love another person. When I take the time with one other person and talk with them. That makes a way bigger impact than me, you know, if I always had a dream. I wanted to make music and, you know, have lots of people be able to hear it. Now, I might have a pretty expansive reach that way, but the impact would probably be pretty minimal. Way less than that one-to-one, that more intimate time. You look at Mother Teresa, you know, she's seen as, you know, this icon of love and charity and everything. Like, just, that is great. She basically would try and find, what was the deal? She was on the radio in Arizona. I remember. Okay, this was the thing. She was talking to the radio guy, one of the producers, I think, and the producer guy was like, "So what can I do to help your cause?" And she's like, "You want to help my cause? Go out into the street at 4:00 in the morning, find somebody that's homeless, and you make them feel loved." It's like, whoa. Like, I was thinking, like, write a check to your foundation or something. Like, but she knew the big impact is made in those moments. So how does this all tie in with what you're doing, Anonymous? Don't underestimate the power of you just loving the people around you. Be they LGBTQ, be they straight, whatever. If you love them, you will have a huge impact on their lives. Way more than any ideological cause could ever have for them. And you know what? Love, real love, the desiring the best for another person, and showing that to them individually through your eyes, through your conversation, through what you do to help them out, just in little ways. Man, the cool thing is that's not illegal or controversial. It's kind of quiet. But it speaks volumes to the heart. And that's what really we're after, is helping people in their heart and in their mind, helping heal some of this anguish, right? And so you just being you and taking that desire to help, you can be really soft-spoken and quiet about it and make a huge impact on the people around you. It can be amazing. So, I don't know. That's what I have. Ryan, did you have anything else?
No, that was phenomenal. Thank you. Absolutely.
Meow, thank you. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing to say. That we always say amazing things and have good advice. I hope that continues to remain the same.
I hope that's true and that it stays true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, like what you said earlier, Meow, that everyone in this chat and the community are amazing.
Mhm.
It's
For sure.
it's a phenomenal thing that here we are with all of you guys, and I'm catching so much wisdom in the chat as well. Like, we're up here talking into microphones. You guys could have your own shows too.
Yeah, honestly.
But some of you aren't 13 yet.
Oh,
So- Actually, maybe some of you are. Maybe y'all are. I don't know.
yeah. Could be every one of them is, but still.
Yeah. At any rate, that was humor. But so
Yeah.
let's see where we're at. Let's see,
Yeah.
it's
I
5 minutes to
100%
10.
agree though. I mean, if what Joe was talking about, you just love people. My gosh, it does so much. Like I have many songs and thousands of people who have said in the comment section like, "Oh my gosh, this helped so much. This changed my opinion. This changed my life." Blah blah blah. But I'll tell you, as much as some of that may be true, my interactions with people on the one-to-one have always done so much more to help people, like really help people.
Mhm.
And that's more so by the grace of God than it is myself, but it is a thing. It's to be one-on-one with someone is so much more beautiful and impactful, and you can really share your love, and love is what makes the difference. It's the desire for the best of them, and you can really help that. Now, of course, you can do things on a broad scale like myself as well, and
Mhm.
help lots of people
Mhm.
with that love by doing what's best for the world and sharing it. And I think that's a wonderful thing as well. So I encourage you to do so if you want. But yeah, whatever you do, I'm sure you're going to do amazing things, Anonymous, because you got an amazing heart for sure.
Yeah. Hey, James, everything's changed so much, even Joe's beard. It's been a while since I had a beard.
Yeah.
Man, oh
Joe, your
man.
beard is getting really, really short. It's even more shorter than it's even more shorter than possible.
Yeah,
It's retracted. It's inversed.
it is. It's man, I think it's only like 6 hours ago that I shaved it.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. See, that'll do
Yeah.
it. But welcome and thank you, Anonymous, for the topic. Wow. Thank you for the topic, and thank you for who you are.
Mhm.
For who you aspire to help, and because you have that in your heart that you want to help people, that just is so great. And I feel like an ally with you.
Mhm.
Now, one thing, I don't see eye to eye with Ryan on everything.
Yeah, usually I'm looking away.
We're up here, we're doing a show together. We don't agree on everything.
That's true.
In fact, I have lots of ideas. I present them at meetings, like right before we do this show. We have a staff meeting, and I present an idea, and there'll be times.
I don't ever shut those ideas down.
Yeah, you do.
I let other people shut them down. I just go, that sounds pretty cool. And I'll be like, leave that one to Kyle.
Yep,
Kyle will
I
shut
trust
that
that
one down.
Kyle will shut it down.
No, honestly, yeah, actually, I'm all for just listening to new ideas. That's for sure. But
Well, sure, but that's how you
we
grow,
disagree
right?
on some things, but it's pretty rare these days. But
Mhm.
we don't have to agree on everything. That's not the point of life. That's the beauty of life.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And part of the beauty of life is being able to share it with you guys, being able to share it with this wonderful community. All you guys here, James. I apologize. You came here at right toward the end of the show. I don't think we have any more topics of people that are here, and if we did, I'd be hesitant to start it with 12 minutes
Yeah.
left in 2 hours because I feel like we would
Yeah, we
do
would
it
definitely
justice.
overdo that one.
Yep.
Or underdo it to, yeah. Want to give it the appropriate amount of time the topic deserves. So,
Oh, you were watching the whole thing. Okay, cool. Well, glad you could make it. And yeah, so I don't know. You got anything to talk about for a few minutes, Ryan? What's on your mind today?
uh,
Let me get a pen.
yeah, you want a pen? Okay, good. Dirt.
Hey, you know what's great about
I don't
dirt?
see you writing this down. What?
God made dirt, and dirt don't hurt.
Unless you put it in your eyes or try to swallow it or throw it really hard. There's plenty of ways to make dirt hurt. Oh, never mind. Yeah, dirt doesn't have nerves, so it can't hurt. I get it. Okay, yeah. Dirt can't feel pain. Humans hurt. Dirt don't hurt.
Dirt don't hurt.
Yeah.
Humans can be hurt by dirt, but dirt don't hurt.
Yep. Deer can hurt. Yeah,
They can.
I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
One time, this is great. One time I was driving my car and I saw a deer on the side of the road. I wasn't sure if it was going to run across the road, so I stopped for it and he stared at me. I happened to be listening to like techno EDM trance kind of music, you know. It's like you know, and so I'm like
glow sticks while you're driving.
Yeah, I usually go drive with my glow sticks out, pumping through the. Anyways, so this deer was just staring at the car, and so then I roll down the window, and I let the song play to the deer, and the deer just like staring at it, and he's like, and he just stares, and he's just listening to the song. As soon as the song stops, the deer runs away. I'm like, that deer was into it, but he was entranced by the trance music going on.
Wow, he wanted some glow
and I was
sticks.
Like, yeah, I was like, that's so cool. Deers like music too, but when it stops, they're afraid. It was great.
Yeah. Oh no, it stopped. No, I can run away.
Yeah, it was like frozen. It was pretty great.
Yep. Ryan, your shaved look looks good.
Oh, thanks. You too.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you shave, meow.
Although, if you're actually a green cat, you probably don't want to.
Don't shave. Yes.
Right.
That'll look super weird.
And Baka says with the lag fixes to the BSS server, it still snows through Joe's house. It does. I have a house in the Minecraft server. We have a Black Static and Swerve Minecraft server. It's a weird glitch that because most of the floor is made of glass, apparently it thinks that it needs to pass through that. But it pays no attention to the fact that there's a dark oak roof.
Yeah. So you have a roof on it, but it just snows through it because you have a glass floor.
It snows through it.
That's real physics for you.
Yep, and it's it's above it's like suspended, right? So it's like there's a cliff and then there's a tower thing and then there's another cliff and it's like over this big huge body of water, like 150 blocks or something. It's up.
Nice.
Man, maybe not 150, but anyway, yeah, it's funny. Like I'll go into my little Minecraft house, right, and there's snow falling.
You're trying to take shelter in it, and it's just like, no, the weather still happens in here. That's great.
That's fun. So
that's cool. What kind of glass did you use? Regular?
Glass blocks.
Just glass blocks.
Yeah, just regular. Yep. I didn't have
I
time to
switched to the
stain
gray
it.
ones. I switched to the gray ones because at least the edges that are gray are translucent, so
Mm.
you can at least see through them.
Mm-hmm.
And with the regular glass blocks, they're just so like so bright white on the edges, and you can't see through the white, and it just kind of like, whoa.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Ryan's house is underwater.
It doesn't snow down there,
It does not. It's quite a beautiful thing.
despite the glass floor.
Wait, you have a glass floor? You do have a glass floor,
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't snow because there's no snow.
That's right, because the
You got to
water
be up in the
helps.
mountains in order for the snow.
So it's probably because you're up in the mountains and you have a glass floor.
Uh-huh.
Probably that combo. Interesting. Hey guys, welcome to Minecraft with Joe and Ryan. where we talk about things we don't quite know about.
We're a couple Minecraft novices.
Yes,
We're definitely not
Especially me.
pros. Yeah,
especially me.
I learn things from my kids. They teach me Minecraft.
Nice.
Like my son, my oldest son today, he was like telling me about how to breed villagers. And apparently you just throw bread down on the ground in front of these villagers.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, baby villagers.
So instead of they go.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep, that was fun.
Brilliant.
So anyway, when are you guys gonna do a Twitch stream again?
It's up to Jesse. I think he's going through college, so
Yeah.
once he's not whatever, he's doing some studying thing online, that is akin to university. And when that is over, hopefully sometime this April, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That'll be cool. Raka, hey, how's it going?
Hey.
It's 2 a.m. I have more motivation to work than in the day, but I need sleep. So I'm here hoping my brain will stop thinking about working on music for 5 minutes.
Nice.
Good luck.
Raka.
I
Yeah.
have
Good
trouble
luck.
when my brain gets thinking about something like that.
I just don't go to sleep, but I don't have that responsibility to wake up necessarily. And when I do, I just kind of go, whatever, I'll wake up in 2 hours. I can do it. I've done it before. And then when I'm done with my responsibilities, I can go back to sleep. So I'm very blessed to not have a schedule that's super tight. But yes, I totally get it. When you're into a project, you just kind of keep on going and going until you're like, oh shoot, I can't stop.
Yep. So cool. Well, anyway, I think we will say sayonara for the week. What do you think,
That's
Ryan?
right. Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
We'll see you all next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, come on back. And yeah, if you have any topics, feel free. You can post at our website, bss.studio. You can, I'd say, post it in the chat, but that's not going to be going for very much longer. And you can also send us an email, dww@bss.studio. If you'd like to remain anonymous, that's the place to do it. And be sure you put in your email that you'd like to be anonymous. If you don't put it in the email, then you'll probably get an email back from myself or Ryan asking, hey, just to be clear, did you want to be anonymous?
That's right.
So anyway.
And if you message me on Discord, if you have Discord,
yes.
you can also say that you're anonymous and it'll be posted anonymously.
Yeah.
Yes.
Princess, why do I always forget to mention Discord when I'm doing my spiel
Because
about where
you
people...
don't use Discord as much as I do.
Probably. That's probably it.
He does use it though.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
learning.
no, he does. I'm very proud of him.
I'm learning all these different
Proud of him.
social avenues of things.
You're doing great, sweetie.
Thanks, Princess. You're the best. You're such a great encouragement. But
yeah, encouragement.
that's right.
Okay.
Minty
What?
fresh of encouraging.
That's right. You are a fresh mint right there. Encouragement.
Yep. But feel free. You can direct messages on Discord.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you have it, everybody.
All those places. We should just have a Don't Worry Wednesday Discord where we can invite people to. And
We used to.
post.
We used to. It still
yeah,
exists.
Derek's.
Yeah.
I was never
Derek's
a part of
actually
it,
still exists
I don't think.
to this
Hmm.
day.
Mhm.
And I think someone talked on it like a month ago, maybe. I was like, oh wow, there's people here.
Wait, which pick and sharing? Which one was it? Was it the one where I was flexing my muscles? I can't remember.
Baka, I think you still hold
Oh,
first
wait.
for Potards.
Or maybe no,
Yeah.
maybe that was the one. That was the one where I was reading and journaling. Maybe that was the one. I don't know. I can't remember.
I
I've
don't know. I didn't
posted
see it.
pictures. I've posted pictures all over the place because I'm trying to learn social media. So I've posted on Instagram and Facebook and Discord and
Oh,
all kinds of places. I've posted pictures this week. So where I was writing. Okay, yeah.
we'll have to go check that out.
But all right, cool. Well, hey, you guys have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time on Don't Worry Wednesday. Until then, yeah, we love you.
That's right.
Keep
Until
being
then, keep
awesome.
on eating.
Keep on
Peace.
keep on eating.
Thank you again for your support.
Yes, thank you. Take care, guys.